Yo, what's up? I am Tanner Cherry.
And I am the wonderful Wizard Oz, a rogue in addition to other types.
And welcome back to the Rogue's Passage podcast.
Hey!
What's up, everybody? You have made your way back to the Rogue's Passage podcast. Today we're here to talk about a whole bunch of things. Mainly, we're going to go through some Aetherdrift spoiler cards. Well, I guess not spoiler. The whole set's out right now.
I mean, yeah. I mean, but we don't want to go over specific cards that I think are going to be, well, we think that are going to be sleepers that people are just not going to even see coming, that are just so good. You're going to want them for your deck. You're going to want to throw them in there. It's just, and although the set has a lot of flack and not everybody's in on it, there are definitely cards that are just going to be run because they're just better than their previous successors.
Yeah, there's some cool upgrades. Funny enough, I remember they teased it. They were like, we're gonna make a cycle of vanilla legendary creatures, and I remember like a whole bunch of people were just like,
vanilla, really?
Like effing why? Like what?
But legit, the vanilla creatures they're pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we'll take a look into those and we'll dive into them a little bit more.
Yeah. First, I wanted to bring up the fact that I believe I heard this on, shout out to the Magic Mike's podcast. You guys are just one of my favorite. Power Dragon is one of the hosts of that show. He's also on the Commander format panel, which is the restructured, essentially like the Commander advisory group of old, right? But then the Commander format got absorbed by Wizards of the Coast and essentially like taken apart and put back together in a different way.
We can rebuild him.
Yes, we can rebuild him. Daquan is one of the guys that's on there, and he was kind of alluding to, I guess they were making an announcement that this should be coming out on the weekend. It should still be before it happens. February 11th, they're going to make an announcement. I think they didn't allude exactly what it was supposed to be, but it is like,
we know that there's not going to be bans happening. There's not going to be unbans happening. So
yeah,
like we can rest easy on that. But there are going to be some changes going on. I think it was for the bracket system that they're talking about.
We hope, right? Like they announced when they banned Mana Crypt, which geez is like 4 months ago at this point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like Mana Crypt and Dockside and all that got banned months ago, and they said that they were going to have this bracket system ready right away for Vegas or whatever, the Vegas the big Magic Con, and then they were like last minute they were like, there's no way we can have it ready for that event. And mainly was because they wanted to sit down, they wanted to put a lot more like heart and soul and thought and knowledge and research and development into making sure they do the right thing. And so it's February, and I think there's a chance that it doesn't involve this at all, but Power Dragon was talking about it. He was kind of talking about how they're struggling within the group, the panel.
Yeah, nobody can say what that like agree on anything.
Yeah, there's like two schools of thought. There's people that are like, we should make a bracket system and assign a point value or a bracket value to each card. Not each card. They were going to start with like 200, which I think is a nightmare. Or they are going to.
I mean, admittedly, there are cards that are just, when you put it into a deck, it just makes it stronger.
True. There is cards that you could just put in that category.
You throw a Ristic Study in a deck, all of a sudden, it powers up. You put a Demonic Tutor in there, it just makes it a little more powerful.
True. I would like...
But
then, like, there's cards that can be used, like, kindly and cards that can be used really maliciously. Mm-hmm. Same card, but different strategies. I think that's the reason why they want to bracket the play... I think he called it play experiences. Like, what is your play expectations is what they stated. It's like, when you're sitting down at the table, are you expecting to have a casual game? Are you expecting to have a jank game? Mm-hmm. Are you expecting to have a pre-con level? Are you expecting to have a high power or a CEDH game? Because these all fit within the same format, right?
Yeah, I mean, and even though a D-Tutor might power up a deck, the deck might itself be super jank, and so it needs that D-Tutor just so it can do its really dumb combo.
Yeah.
And so the thing that you might be tutoring up is not going to be a powerhouse card. Whereas if you're playing like a Stacks deck or something like that, you tutoring up like a Smokestack That's just no fun.
Well, see, that's the thing. You're talking about Demonic Tutor there, but Demonic Tutor is not actually the problem. It's what you're doing with it, right?
Exactly.
It's like if I'm going to get Smokestacks, then I'm playing a completely different deck than if I'm detutoring
looking up for a Jeskai Ascendancy or something like that. Which,
great example.
I mean, I totally.
Yeah.
What you're looking up is going to be completely dependent on what that deck does. And so what your deck do.
What your deck do.
What that deck do. So whatever your deck is doing, though, is going to be the determining factor.
Yeah.
And so if you're playing a deck that is pretty high power, I mean, having a Rhystic Study in there is just going to power up that so much more. But if you're playing a jank deck that's doing something weird, maybe you just need that Rhystic Study so that you can do the dumb thing.
Yeah. I mean, like, for one, I would hope that's kind of where they go rather than just bracketing each card, like saying that this card is a 4 or this card is a 3. I think that will cause severe disruption and chaos in the whole format. I don't know. I do trust that the smartest minds in Commander and in content creation and in the culture of Magic have been put on this, and they wanted more time. They wanted more time to get it right. And we salute you. Thank you for taking the time. They are getting paid now. The Commander Advisory Group prior was a volunteer position, really.
Yeah, and now they're actually getting paid. That's awesome.
Now they're on the payroll at WotC, so yeah.
Good stuff.
So
all right, we expect great things out of you, and if you screw up, we're just going to blame it. No,
don't screw it up.
Don't screw up.
So February 11th, we're going to hear an announcement from the newly advised panel,
and fingers crossed.
Yeah, and they did want to say. They wanted to make sure that people didn't think it was a ban announcement coming up. They promised that they're not banning or unbanning any cards. They're not going to shake the format up in that way. And I mean, it would be stupid to do that on top of doing the bracket thing or whatever. Find out what that system is and see if it works to even level out the cards needing to be banned, right?
True.
Mana Crypt could come back later if people knew that it wasn't going to just show up at every table. Or, casual tables.
If you know that, hey, this deck is going to be a powerhouse of a deck, okay, it's running a Mana Crypt. All right. Yeah. Or maybe this is going to be a super jank deck. At least you have an expectation of what you're sitting down to.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing, is having a true expectation of what you're sitting down to, and it's not just a 7. Yeah. Because everybody's deck is a 7.
The previously it was power 1 through 10, and we can all agree this didn't really work.
Yeah.
Because nobody said their deck was lower than a power 4. So what's the point of a 10-point scale? You know, like it's wonderful.
If you said that your deck was like a 1 or a 2, it was basically just a conglomeration of cards that didn't function together. Yeah, that's what you should expect.
Your bulk fell over and you sleeved it up.
You sleeved it up. And, okay, let's play. Yeah.
So here's hoping that we hear something good on February 11th, and if not, we riot. I wanted to bring some attention to something that I think was an important thing that happened. Kaladesh is a plane, formerly Kaladesh, is a plane that is in the new Aetherdrift set. This set consists of 3 different planes. It's a race. It's kind of a lighthearted set. It's like a race that takes place through the Omen paths or whatever, through 3 different planes. Okay. So we've got Kaladesh now is called Avishkar. And then we've got Amonkhet, which was my start in Magic. So I was, I remember thinking that I was like a little bit like, I don't know, I'm not that interested in Aetherdrift. And then they started spoiling some Amonkhet cards, and I'm like, I'm in.
Sweet.
And then Muruganda, which I'm not really too familiar with, but I guess lots of the oozes and stuff come from Muruganda.
Okay. I'm not familiar with Muruganda, so you can roast me in there, and it might be one of the things of this is one of the next places that we're going to.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the first time we've been there. I feel like I've heard the name before, but I think this might be one of the first times. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if I've heard it before. I might just be naive to it, but if we're going to be showing up at a new plane and this is a way to spoil the plane, that's a fun way to do it.
Just a little taste. Yeah. Give us a little tease with some high octane wacky racing.
Anyway, these are some wacky cards with some crazy abilities.
Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to bring some attention to the Avishkar name change, because something that I guess I did remember hearing about this way back when I first started playing Magic. The name Kaladesh was R&D. They basically went into the literal Indian language, right? and the Kala is like invention,
Okay.
sort of, and then Desh is land, like land of invention.
Oh, okay.
So that was-
I mean, that's a perfect fitting for
Right.
Kaladesh, yeah.
But then the set came out, and all the people who were, of Indian culture and stuff like that, like East Asian culture, they were like, "Hey, man, like that's kind of messed up," and Wizards had no idea why.
Like, why? What's messed up about the land of invention?
Well, it's I guess the word Kala
Uh-huh.
has 4 or 5 different meanings,
Oh, okay.
and
so,
one of them happens to mean black.
Oh,
So it kind of translated to land of the blacks, but so it's already kind of like it's.
on the edge, can be.
But the problem is that Kala is used as street slang over there as a it's basically the N-word.
Oh,
It's essentially the N-word. It is derogatory towards people with black skin.
damn.
So it was land of the N-words, and like
That's not okay. You can't do that.
and Magic has been kind of
Tiptoeing around
tiptoeing
it.
and quiet about that. And I guess when they were like, we want to come back to
I'm gonna come
Kaladesh.
back to Kaladesh, but we can't be Kaladesh anymore.
Yeah, they did the right thing, and they got a whole team of consultants, people from that culture that were not consultants.
Do it right this time.
Is it consultant? Yeah, I guess you're a consultant, right? So one of the guys that was on there was Shivam Bhatt, and Shivam is from. He's also on the Commander Advisory Group. He does the Shivam and Wheeler Love Magic podcast. He does the Casual Magic podcast. He's just the most jolly, happy. Like I love listening to this guy talk about Magic. He's so infectiously positive,
Good
and
shit.
he was so happy that there was a set that was going to represent his culture at that time. And then he was just like, "It's called what?" Right? But anyway, he was on the panel, and he kind of him and a few others sort of pressed Wizards in R&D to be like, okay, we're going to help you with the set, but only like the name has to change.
Right.
And I guess at first they were resistant. They were like, well, we have the copyrights to it. It's a kind of a big thing to do this. And they actually, like, through days of deliberation, they came up with the fact, it was like, well, wait, first set was called Kaladesh. Second set was called Aetherdrift. And they were like, it was a revolt. It was a revolution against the powers that be, right?
Yeah,
it was a
we
complete
can make
revolution.
it fit thematically.
And so what they did was they wove it into the storyline that
Good.
Kaladesh was this empire ruled by these corrupt people or whatever, right? And when it was taken back over by the people, they decided to rename it as if it was, like, yes, it was Kaladesh.
Start over new.
We're not going to erase the fact that it was Kaladesh. But now it is Avishkar. We're renaming it. It's a new place, a new thing, and it's more culturally sensitive.
Yeah,
Because man,
a little more appropriate.
yeah, and like it was like big
geez.
ups Wizards for doing that. It is really weird. You see people in comments being like, why did you do this?" It's like,
Yeah, they definitely had to.
yeah, that's why I feel like as somebody with a podcast or whatever, I just want to let everybody know that, like, hey, they did the right thing.
Yeah. No, this was a good move.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, that is why they changed the name. Yeah, like going back to Amonkhet, the fact that we get to see more gods, new gods from Amonkhet.
Yeah. No, and there's some spicy new gods in there
There
too.
is, although
boy.
I don't know, maybe one card I should put on my list is my girl Hazaret, man. She got done dirty.
Oh, what happened? Do tell me.
Well, she got a bad card. Hazaret kind of sucks, and I don't know. Maybe I would love to be proven wrong, but I guess we might as well segue into another topic we have here. The mechanic called "Start Your Engines" is a mechanic in this set that has
It's kind of underwhelming.
It's under that. The thing is, it's called "Start Your Engines," and you get max speed as like a 4-point counter thing.
Yeah.
and it
does not
ironically
feel fast.
is one of the slowest abilities
Truly.
out there. Well, I guess I'll try to remember off the top of my head here. So when you play a card that has Start Your Engines, you essentially start, like, you get a token
You
with
get
a counter.
another speed.
You start at 1 speed. And I think pretty much every card that has max speed, it's once you have max speed when you're at 4, then it's extra ability triggers, which is those abilities are all really good.
Right. But first you got to get to the max speed.
The only way to go up is to deal damage to an opponent on your turn with a maximum of 1 per turn.
And so, I mean, you have to, and yeah, it only triggers once per turn. So you have to do it every turn in order for it to even have effect on turn 4.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just never going to see play in CDH, period.
No.
Because, I mean, the mechanic is just too slow. It can never get it to start on turn 4. You're already way behind.
It has to be game breaking for it to be worth investing in, because what if you don't draw it until turn 6, right? And then you play it and you start at 1. You're not looking at getting that value until almost the turn 10. The game's going to be over by then. So, and in standard, you know, the thing is that it seems like it's geared towards being like an aggro mechanic, because you want to get on the board and you want to be pressuring and attacking and damaging every turn so that you can keep that max speed going. But the minute that's why I don't like the design of Hazoret, because Hazoret essentially, I got to bring it up here.
Yeah.
Do you don't have
Here,
it?
I can bring it up.
You can bring it up. Okay, I'll just vamp while you do that. So Hazoret is I think it's a 2-mana 5/3 indestructible haste. So like off the rip, it's like, yeah, go girl. But it can't attack or block unless it has max speed. Its condition is sort of like the old Amonkhet gods, where they each had a condition you'd have to meet, right? Before they became creatures, they sort of like the Theros gods, where they had to have the devotion and stuff. It was really cool templating. But the new Hazoret, basically, you have to be at max speed for it to do anything. Yeah, so here, let me read this. This
2-mana indestructible haste.
1 and a red for a 5/3 indestructible haste. Seems pretty great. It's got start your engines. So when you play it, which could be turn 2, right? You start your engines. But it can't attack or block unless you have max speed. And then it has a 1 and tap. Target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. So it can sort of help enable
get you to max speed.
But I just think that it's too slow. I mean, I guess if you're playing maybe with like other creatures as well, like think of the parallel that a lot of people are drawing here is the one or the ring mechanic, tempt with the ring.
Tempt with the ring, because it's got the 4. You have to get to the 4 steps, like the 4 max speed, right?
At least with tempted by the ring, you got an incremental upgrade on each of those levels as you went up, and you could do it multiple times a turn.
You could do it multiple times a turn. You could do it on somebody else's turn.
Right.
It was just, hey, the ring tempts you, and so you're able to progress. But this, just it only being on your turn feels so sluggish, and especially for max speed. It's just
right. It's called max speed. It's like fast, like let's go, and it's like, all right, we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, chugga. Yeah, not getting to max speed real fast here. Yeah. And I mean, for the maximum, the fastest you can get to max speed is turn 4. It seems slow.
Yeah, so we'll see. I would love it if my girl Hazoret actually pulled through and, was godlike. I mean, I remember watching...
Would love to see it.
I think it was William Huey Jensen in Worlds or whatever, the Magic World Championship. I think he took down the event with mono red, and Hazoret was in that deck. Like, it was incredible.
Right.
I that was where I started my Magic journey, was watching the Pro Tour and the World's Championships, people playing with Kaladesh and Amonkhet cards. So the vibe here of this set has me excited thematically, and there is some sick cards, and I do think that
get that nostalgia.
Get that nostalgia. I do think that a lot of them are in the Commander decks, the coolest cards, I think. But do you want to start going through some of these cards? What do you want to talk about first?
Some of these cards. Honestly, I want to bring up one that I think is going to be just an instant replacement for any board wipe that you have.
I came home, you're raving about this in the kitchen. Like.
Yeah. It's just immediately, why would you not run this? It's a spectacular pile up. So 2 and 3, so 2 white and 3 for all creatures and vehicles lose indestructible, and then it destroys all vehicles and creatures. And if it wasn't good enough, it also has cycling. So if you do have a dead board wipe in your hand, because that happens from time to time, you can just cycle it away.
Cycling for 2 generic too, so it's not even a huge cost.
It's not a huge cost to cycle it for 2 generic, get it out there, get another card, but also it's an Avacyn killer.
But it also mercs vehicles too. Like I love...
Right?
It is a little bit of a power crept Wrath of God, right? It's
I mean,
it's just sick.
For power creep, I think it's way above and beyond Wrath of God.
Just having cycling makes it so much more applicable.
Oh yeah.
Like
I mean, normally I would think that for a card like this, you would have to see it be 6 mana. Just to have that effect, to have the cycling on that as well and everything, like in order for it to not be overpowered, you'd have to add a little bit more. But nah, it's cheap, it's amazingly good, and you can and it's got the cycling just in case.
I was gonna say, like, man, this art is sick, but I realize it's of a spectacular pileup. It's basically Deerfoot Trail the other week.
I can attest that I did see and know that is exactly what Deerfoot looked like.
Yeah, it was pretty icy out here. So
slipping and sliding. Whose lane is it anyways?
I wanted to. I guess I want to talk about that pit automaton because it
already gonna get the errata on.
Yeah,
that,
it was
which
a
is
day
crazy.
day 0 errata. Pit automaton. Let's read this card. It is a 2-mana artifact construct creature 0/4 defender. It taps to add 2 colorless. Spend this mana only to activate abilities.
Okay.
Probably going in my Da Vinci deck.
Yeah.
And then 2 and tap. When you next activate an exhaust ability this turn, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. They didn't realize, which is kind of funny, they didn't realize that it was broken with a card in the set.
Oh, yeah.
It was loot. We're going to talk about loot later. But Loot is cracked out of his mind. He's like one of the best cards in this set. I'm confident. But he's got an exhaust ability that is 1 green, tap Black Lotus, which is a mana ability. And I guess Pit Automaton's ability, its mana abilities don't use the stack, so you wouldn't be able to, like, they had to errata Pit Automaton to say whenever you activate an exhaust ability this turn that's not a mana ability. So yeah, the magic is hard.
Right?
Magic is hard.
No, yeah, and so because it just doesn't use the stack, and I mean, it truly is. Just
let's talk about loot.
Going right into loot from that is, so 5 mana, Teamer, and he's got double strike, vigilance, haste.
All of them,
just keyword soup on him right from the get go, and then he's got 3 exhaust abilities. One, which is it's a dark ritual for any color.
It's Black Lotus.
Yeah, well, Black Lotus is 0. You still got to pay 1.
Well, yeah, sorry. You pay 1 to activate the ability, and it's essentially it's add 3 mana of 1 color. Yeah. Any 1 color.
So green mana for 1 mana get 3.
Yeah, it's more Black Lotus because you can choose any color for it, right?
Right.
The theme of the card is that they wanted the 3 exhaust abilities to be like 3 powerful cards from Alpha, right? So they've got Black Lotus. The exhaust for a blue is Ancestral Recall. Banned everywhere, too good.
Yep.
And then exhaust for 1 red is Lightning Bolt. Deal 3 damage to any target. I can't wait to see what people do with this, and I'm hoping they didn't push it too much to the point where it's going to get banned, because like Agatha's Soul Cauldron is like a way to just...
it's going to be broken in this set beyond belief.
It's going to be cool. I don't think... Is Agatha's Soul Cauldron still in Standard?
No, I don't think it is.
It was in Wilds of Eldraine.
Yeah. No, I think that we've gone past that point for Wilds of Eldraine there. Well, it might be wrong. You can tell me in the comments.
Cards busted. It's going to come down. It's going to attack for 4, like double strike.
Yep.
2 double strike. It'll attack for 4 damage.
Have 4, and then you can still tap it afterwards.
Yeah. So long as you've left a mana open.
I mean, for 1 mana, and I can totally see it happening for, you got 1 mana, tap it for 3 blue, and then you can use one of those blues to untap it with
True.
Any number of things.
What is
that
will
untap.
Freed from the Real, stuff like that.
Pemzora.
Yeah. Pemzora. You got Intruder Alarm shenanigans.
And then, so you can untap it, then tap it again for the 3 mana, or to draw 3 cards. And then use a Teferi's Time Twist, bounce it, have it come back, do it again.
Yeah, Conjurer's Closet, pretty good with this card.
Right?
Just tap it and use one of its exhaust abilities in response to the Conjurer's Closet trigger. It's great. Loot is going to be... I'm hoping that it's not going to be like... you know how like every set, there's one that's clearly pushed, commander that everyone wants to build because it's busted.
It's going to be super broken.
You end up just not seeing it anywhere because, if people do build it, other people complain. They're like, I don't want to play against that crap. It's like Voja.
It's too much.
Like Voya is one of those, I believe, right, where people are just like, man, get off that. That's too powerful. Or Chulane from the Brawl decks.
Right.
Just
No, I was
lots of
actually
times.
just going to say, yeah, I think that he's going to fall around that level around Chulane.
Yeah.
Is just his abilities are just going to cycle through it and make it super powerful.
I say, do you bust this card in half, beat people's face in with it.
And I mean, it's the card itself is not going to be the thing that breaks it. It's an enabler. It's an engine in and of itself.
Yeah, well, I mean, even just suit it up. I mean, I guess you don't really want to do. Maybe you don't want to do that because if you don't want to do equipment or auras because you want to flicker the guy.
Yeah.
So, who knows? I don't know. I would love to see if you have a list that you're working with or like a loot deck list. Send it our way. I would love to do like user submitted deck reviews and stuff.
Yeah.
And loot's going to be one that I don't know. I'm probably going to get convinced to build it. I've never built a teamer deck, so.
No, and I mean that's definitely not going to be a bad place to start. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right. Next one I wanted to talk about. A brilliant new. Okay, one of my favorite cards. I'm sure if you've watched the channel, one of my favorite cards from Hour of Devastation was Crested Sunmare. And I did finally, I've got it sleeved up on the cabinet over there. I did finally build that deck. It's a Rule 0 illegal commander. I wanted to build a deck around Crested Sunmare because it just seemed like it was meant to go in the command zone. But in 2017, Wizards didn't really care that much about commander. They were releasing 4 commander decks a year, right? It was the yearly commander decks. There's 4 or 5. You bought them as a package or whatever once a year. Now it's a different world. It's every set you get 4.
I mean, yeah, they have been releasing commander set just one after the next, just piling on so many, and they have said that they are going to slow down and start releasing them a little less, which honestly I appreciate because I can't keep up and my budget just won't allow it. So like my wallet thanks you.
Yes, thank you. But I want to talk about this new 5-drop here, Guardian Sunmare. I love the art because I wonder if it's actually the same artist. And I guess I'll have Crested Sunmare and Guardian Sunmare on the screen here.
Yeah.
It's 3 white for creature horse mount. So this has got the saddle ability from Outlaws of Thunder Junction.
Yeah.
So it has Ward 2. It's a 5/5. And it says, when this creature attacks while saddled, search your library for a non-land permanent card with mana value 3 or less and slap that thing on the battlefield. Every attack trigger just tutor for something
3 or less.
A permanent 3 or less
goes on.
I just think that, like, at first I read this as like it was a Sun Titan, like enter the battlefield and do it, and I was like, oh, it's only 3 or less, enter the battle. No, it's an attack trigger.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the attack trigger as well.
Yes,
but like,
right.
I mean, but that's just from Grave. This is from your library.
Right. This is from library, which I remember thinking it was cool, and then the more I read it, I was like, wow, this is actually kind of buck wild.
Wait a second.
The only problem is that it has a saddle cost of 4. It's kind of like an equip 4 cost. So if you'll remind me, I didn't actually play with saddle, but saddle is like another creature.
You have to tap. It's basically like crewing a vehicle, but it's your.
But do they stay together?
Yeah, huh?
Do they stay together?
No. You tap your creature so that you can crew it.
And so wait, you have to pay 4 every turn?
So you have to use a creature that's power 4 or less, or 4 or more, and saddle it. Or you can use 2 creatures that are like power 2 or 4 1/1s, and you can crew it.
Okay,
but it has to have a power up to 4 so that you can get it going. Same thing with vehicles, right?
I thought saddle was like more like equipment where you just paid an equip cost to like put them together.
Oh,
so this is I guess a little worse than I was thinking. I thought you were just gonna like saddle it and then every turn you just get to tutor for a 3-drop
for it. Nah, unfortunately, but I mean a couple 2/2s tap a couple 2/2s so that you can get something mana cost 3 from your library and slap it on.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing this little Sunmare and a couple 2/2s.
Honestly, and you know what? To make that guy work, there's actually a commander that's that you can probably play, make it go burr. And I'd love to see this actually. So he's only 2 mana.
Red and white.
Collidan Triumph Caster. He's a Boros commander. Red, 1 white. And mounts and vehicles you control have haste. Pretty sweet. Whenever a mount or a vehicle enters the battlefield under your control, it becomes... so whenever a mount enters the under your control, it becomes saddled. And whenever a vehicle enters under your control, it becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. So immediately when that Sunmare comes in, it's going to be mounted. It has haste, swing.
Yeah, so it does confirm that here. It becomes saddled until end of turn. Right, yeah, so it is an end of turn ability that jump off the horse. I don't know.
At least like as soon as it comes in, you can use those vehicles as soon as, and then you can crew them later if you want to. But I mean, having that ability that you can just auto mount, not bad.
Cool art too. Wow. I mean, like this playmat here, I don't know if you can see it I think you can on the shot. Maybe not. I'm just going to lift it up briefly. I got this at the most recent face-to-face event. I think it's from Duskmorn, or is it? Yeah, it's Duskmorn. It's all like VHS-y.
Yeah.
But it's just like crazy vibrant colors, and like this card as well. Wowza.
Got the crazy colors on there. And honestly, there are some things, because I'd want to see mounts and vehicles give them a little bit of strength, a little bit of power in there, because they definitely need it. And another thing that will make those mounts go as well, Cloudspire. So Cloudspire Coordinator, he's also just a red and a white Boros. And whenever a creature enters battlefield, scry 2. But he has a tap ability that he creates X 1/1 colorless pilot creature tokens, where X is the number of mounts or vehicles that enter the battlefield this control. And so they're 1/1s, but they crew as if they crew, and they also mount as if their power was 2.
Power 2 more, isn't it? Power 2 greater. So they power greater. Like they're 3 power. The pilots actually crew as if they're power 3, I think. Because they're 1/1s, or they're 1/1s, and they crew as if their power is 2 greater.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think they crew as 3s.
Which, I mean, that is hella broken. And being able to make those guys, and so that you can have the mounts, have the vehicles, and they're very viable.
Yeah.
And it just makes them so that it actually is going to be a powered up deck, and mounts and vehicles are definitely going to be a thing.
Yeah, I mean, getting a bunch more of them means that whatever decks, they just get more options and everything. And like I know Ryan from Commander Cookout, shout out, he's got a vehicle deck that he's had for years, and it's like dinosaurs riding vehicles or whatever. And I think
that's awesome. I actually got a buddy as well that has a vehicle deck, and it's all guys who have mustaches and then vehicles, and it is called the Mustache Ride.
The Mustache Ride.
And so shout out to Steve at First Player there.
Heck yeah.
And so, yeah. Honestly, I want to see a lot more of those in there, and I'm excited to see some of these vehicles and the vehicle enablers in that Mustache Ride.
Yeah, and now for vehicle decks, you have a suite of basic lands, they're on screen here now, of like first-person perspective, like driving like vehicles over like certain like raceways and stuff. So yeah.
Honestly, and I've seen for some of the forests, like for the different lands on there. So maybe we can scooch into the foiling that they got going on for the new.
Let's talk about first place foils.
Yeah, I mean,
there's multiple different art styles, like so there's the special guest treatments, like the Chrome Mox that's in this set. I'll just put that image here. It's unbelievably gorgeous. And then there's like the Rat Fink style, like the eyes bugging out and like the crazy creatures.
Which I'm totally a fan of. Love those arts.
There's that art style in this set as well. And then there is the first place foils, which digitally on like when they spoiled them, it just looks like they had like straight up just yellow borders and like yellow cards, like a Pokemon card. But in real life, they're bling bling gold. And there was people that were just like, no, you have to see them in real life. And yeah, I do admit they are pretty sweet, but the departure from looking like a Magic card is getting further and further.
True. I mean, yeah, you're going to get, we'll get Magic cards that look nothing like Magic cards, but I'm sure soon enough that will be like the Pokemon cards. But you know what? And I'm full and 100% on board if you want to tilt your player base and make this and have like stuff that just looks I play the white border stuff just so that I can mess with people, and I love it. And so as long as like, if you want to do that, all the power to you. But like one of the beefs that I've got with the lands is that all of them look the same. With this blingy gold in there, and I mean, go for bling. If you do you, bling it out. But like, I can't. If you're playing a Wooburg deck and you've got all of these lands, screw you, man. That's
they're on screen here. You can see how very similar they are.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the same thing as with I heard with like the Midnight Hunt and the stuff like that, where it's just like it's blacked out and you can't tell what color it is. And so if you're playing Wooburg with that, like if you're playing those lands, play it in a monocolored deck. Just please,
actually,
for the love.
Right when that set, or a little bit after when that set came out, I went into one of the local Magic shops and I saw that they had stacks where they were just like, yeah, here's 10 of each basic, which is great for a draft kit, right?
Right.
To just have 10 of each. And I was like, yeah, I'll take one. I can't remember if I bought two, but like they're stacked up in one of my cases over there. And yeah, you flip through them and like I've played with them, and looking at my mana base on the table, it's tilting me because I can't figure out what colors I have.
No. For those lands, I specifically put them in monocolor decks just because I don't want to have to deal with that.
Yeah. And they are pretty cool for that. They're like, I do love trying all sorts of new different things, and that was one that, I mean, it for sure had fans. There was people that were very in love with that style, that black and white, swampy. Like that was the problem is they all looked like swamps, sort of. Like,
kind of did, 100%. No.
Anyway, talking about swamps, I want to talk about, I don't know, that's a terrible segue for a Lotus, but let's talk about the new Lotus.
Oh yeah,
Radiant Lotus.
This new Lotus.
Yeah,
and I mean, so 6 mana, Radiant Lotus. Tap, sacrifice one or more artifacts, one or more, so any number really. Choose a color. Target player adds 3 mana of the chosen color for each artifact sacked this way.
Yeah. So what this is it's an artifact that costs 6 mana that hits the battlefield, and then it essentially. Wait a minute. Hold on. I thought this sacrificed itself.
No. No. You sacrifice other artifacts.
Yeah, no, but I thought
you can sacrifice a bunch of treasures. Now you don't have to sack
I know, but I thought it sacked itself with the activation.
For 6 mana?
It's repeatable.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, crazy. No, this is, it's 6 mana.
It turns all of your treasures into 3 mana instead of 1.
It turns all of your treasures into Black Lotus.
Yeah.
But one thing that I think is, you can't
It is only one color.
Yeah, they all have to be the same color. So I mean...
Really,
I'll take 12 green.
Like,
it's going to be nuts. It's going to turn all your map tokens, your treasure tokens, your blood tokens. There's going to be this is the one card that I guess they made like a PSA where they were like, look, we did push it with this card. We know that it's probably on the upper echelon of there's something broken with this. Mm-hmm. They did make a last minute errata to try and assist it not being so broken. I guess it was templated at first like a mana ability.
Right, and so it doesn't use the stack.
But this, they changed it to choose a color. Target player adds 3 mana of the chosen color for each artifact sacrificed this way, which puts the ability on the stack. Yeah. So it can be stifled.
You can at least interact with it on some level.
Tishana's Tidebinder is in standard and stuff. It can be interacted with.
And which is good. And I hope that we see more stifles and stuff being played, because I don't see stifles getting played hardly ever. And if this makes stifles get played, let's make it happen.
Well, I'm interested, man. Every time they print a Lotus, some variant of a Lotus, something with the Lotus name.
I mean, it's inherently got to be broken because it says Lotus.
Yep. Except, same with Moxes, but like, I don't know, Mox Tantalite was kind of
a summer hit and miss.
Yeah, they tried.
But I mean, for this ability, it's going to be all sorts, and it turns all of the like blood tokens. Yep. Not a lot of people were using blood tokens. Not a lot of people and food tokens were used every once in a while. But now with this, if you're running this in your deck, you can just have some food tokens sometimes for no reason, because it's worth it. If this creates a blood token, you might not use it as a blood token because you really don't need it for that, but now it's useful. It
is a very, very powerful build around, and I think that it's already $60 American pre-sell, so we'll see how it goes. There's also, I'll put on screen here as well, the variant. There is I think there's a first place foil variant as well as a not a special guest, but there's different variants of them, and they're beautiful, absolutely gorgeous.
I mean, I want to segue into another artifact that we got going on here, which is also a Planeswalker, the Aether Spark.
Yeah.
This is crazy. 4 mana, and you put it out, and it's a 4 loyalty. Okay, not crazy yet. You can't attack it as long as it's attached to a creature. So it's a Planeswalker, but it's also an equipment. And so its +1 is you attach it to a creature, and that creature puts a 1/1 and you put a 1/1 counter on that creature.
I love how the thing that I think is a little pushed about this is that the attach ability is a +1. Mm-hmm. So you're gaining loyalty every time that you're doing its thing, whereas normally an equip ability is like you need to pay for it.
You need to pay.
The cost is a bonus here. You're actually getting loyalty,
getting plus on it, and it also that creature gets a +1,
yep.
which boosts its other ability on there. Which whenever the equipped creature deals combat damage to yep. So when it deals combat damage during your turn, so it doesn't even have to be to a player. It just has to deal combat damage either to a creature
or another Planeswalker.
Or another Planeswalker, yeah. You put that much more loyalty onto it. So whatever you've attached it onto, it gets bigger, and then you add that loyalty onto it when it comes in. So you're +1ing to essentially add how much more? Put it onto a Tarask or something like that? That's going to be crazy.
Obviously, if you put it on something north of 5 power, you're going to be able to use its ultimate ability. Like, so it's got a -5 to draw 2 cards. Which
is, I mean, -5 to draw 2 cards is pretty tame. But I mean, for how much that you're going to be able to put onto it, I feel like you're going to get there rather quickly, and it's not going to be a big thing.
I mean, the nice thing is the play pattern here is you're going to play it. Let's say you have a 1/1 that is going to be able to get through. You attach it to the 1/1. That 1/1 is now a 2/2, and the loyalty is +5 or is at 5 from activating the ability. So then you attack, and the now 2/2 hits.
Now it's at
and
7.
Is at 7. Like, so it's coming in at 4 loyalty and ending the turn at 7 if you're getting through with a 1/1. So if you're putting it on something that's power 4. Like ferocious. Right? Power 4 or greater, you're going to be in a situation next to use the -10, which is add 10 mana in any combination of colors.
Right.
Is it any combination?
It is any combination of colors.
Oh no! Add 10 mana of any one color.
Right.
So it's a giant Black Lotus.
Sorry.
But yeah, like if you and then it's going to stick around. So it's
then you have to, in order to get rid of it, is crazy because the loyalty is going to go up like crazy. There's almost no stopping how much loyalty that's going to go up in one turn.
Yeah,
and then you have to blow up the creature so that you can at least attack this thing.
I think that this is going to spawn a lot more artifact hate. We're going to see a lot more artifact removal in competitive formats where if this thing becomes...
Get more Vandal Blasts.
Yeah. Not even Vandal Blast, just like in a Braid or something, right? Something that can like trade, you pay 4 for your Aether Spark, I kill it with a 2 mana card, right? Like you want to be mana positive on that exchange. But I think it's definitely playable. It's definitely a house. I wonder, how do you feel about it in Commander?
Honestly, I love it in Commander. I mean, I think to get to the abilities there, and it's going to get there quick.
Oh my God. Oathbreaker.
Oh, this has an Oathbreaker.
Oh, we're like rock hard about
sleeping on this, man.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, how else do you build? I guess Karn is the other colorless option for a Planeswalker in Oathbreaker, but you also then have to have a colorless instant or sorcery.
You know what? All is dust.
Yeah.
I mean, you're blowing up everything that isn't colorless, so you're just having it all as dust there.
Can I build it? Can I build it? Can I build it, Oz?
You can do it to your heart's desire, Tanner.
Yes. I recently put together a list for Quintorius Khand as well with Jessica's Will in the command zone.
Ooh, that's gonna be something fun.
We actually want to record an episode next weekend with it, so I got to get out and get this deck put together quick.
Chop chop.
But yeah, on to another card here.
Yeah, let's go. Honestly, I'm really excited about the Mimeoplasm.
Oh yeah, we got a new Mimeoplasm.
Yeah. I mean, I love the Mimeoplasm to begin with because, I mean, I like stealing creatures. it's no surprise. But
Deck fading.
When it comes in, it's Sultai and X, and it's exile up to X creature cards from. It is only from your graveyard, which the other Menioplasm hit other people's graveyards, which I liked a little bit more.
So when it enters, exile X creature cards from your graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
It enters with 3+1/+1 counters on it for each creature card exiled this way. So swole.
Yeah.
Thick.
Gets big. It is a 0/0 starts off with, but I mean, depending on how many creatures, 3 for each one.
And then a 2-mana activated ability, repeatable. Mimeoplasm becomes a copy of target creature card exiled with it, except it's a 0/0 and has this ability.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you can change it up, make it into any one of the creatures that you may have lost or something that you've snuck into the graveyard. And I mean, having this as your commander, you go ahead and mill yourself, put some stuff in the graveyard, and then bring it back, and your Menioplasm are those creatures. I mean,
that seems pretty cool.
I didn't talk to you about this beforehand, but I actually wondered about it because it becomes a copy of another creature. If you're to target it with something and you change it into another creature, does it still blow it up?
So actually, I believe that there might be. Do you know the card Mirage Mirror?
Yeah.
So Mirage Mirror, there's tricky.
Has the same kind of ability, but it also changes. Like you can change it to be a creature, and then you can change it to be a land. So
there's some really crazy things you can do with Mirage Mirror, where you can activate the ability like multiple times on the stack, and then do some stuff, and then Mirage Mirror becomes all of them.
Right.
So I think that this might actually work in that similar way.
And I mean, you can activate it multiple times and then have it become all of those things at once.
Yeah, seems cool.
I mean,
seems cool.
Seems pretty awesome. And I think that this in and of itself is going to be a really cool commander.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome in the 99 somewhere. I mean, because it's got X in its mana cost, I'd love to see it in a Zaxara deck.
Oh, yeah.
That would be something great.
Speaking of in the 99 oozes, there's another card in this set that I'm excited to put in my Reese the Redeemed deck. It's called March of the World Ooze. It's an enchantment. 3 green.
Mm-hmm.
And it says creatures you control have base power and toughness 6/6 and are oozes in addition to their other types. So it's a 6 mana, just hey, everything you got is a 6/6. And then whenever an opponent casts a spell, if it's not their turn, you create a 3/3 green elephant creature token, which would be a 6/6.
Which is also a 6/6 ooze.
It just seems amazing. Just any kind of token. Yeah, any kind of like token or elf deck, just slap it down. No need for Craterhoof. All your stuff's swole, and it's going to stay swole every turn.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like a hilarious, like this card is going to be a house in limited, and it's going to be nuts in the right commander decks.
Oh, absolutely. I can already think of a few that I'd like to put that into.
Yep. What else did I save? I had just those to talk about. Yeah, you do one.
I mean, honestly, some good discard synergy. This is.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, searching up something that's mana cost 3 or less to throw out there for 3 mana, Monument of Endurance. When you discard a card, choose one that has not been chosen this turn. Draw a card, create a treasure token. Each opponent loses 3 life.
Whenever you discard a card.
And I mean, I realize it's only going to trigger 3 times, but having the modal on for discards, it's going to be something that's, I mean, for 3 mana, it's going to be nice.
That might weasel away into my Locust God deck, because I did kind of force back to the going heavy on the wheels.
Oh, yeah.
So having everybody wheel, you'd get an extra card, a treasure token, and hit everybody for 3 each turn. It might. It's just so hard to make cuts in that deck. Like it's so hard.
No, I've got a few of those that you're like, but what do I cut?
Yeah,
it's just so perfect.
I posted the deck list as one of the videos, like a deck tech on my deck. And somebody was just like, "You're a madman! Like, what? How are you not playing any removal?" Like, and I was just like,
"No, I'm the problem. They have to remove me."
Exactly. I was just like, "No, the deck is built to just become player removal as quickly as possible." So.
Yeah, I mean, there's one of those things that it's. I mean, a lot of people will be like, yeah, you need to play removal, but I mean, if everyone needs to remove you in order for them to even have a chance of winning, I think you're doing something right.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Unstoppable Plan, Mr. J? Or
you know what? I want to bring up one thing. So we can talk about Unstoppable Plan, which is awesome enchantment. It's it's another Jace, and it's what is the it's
Wilderness Reclamation, or
I mean it's basically Wilderness Rec for everything else.
Yeah.
And he had another card, 2 mana, that is this on an instant instead. So basically they made this into a permanent instead of it being an instant, which is...
Wait, is it Dramatic Reversal?
Dramatic Reversal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the only way that you could have... I mean, and everybody knows the combo with Dramatic Reversal and the Isochron Scepter, right?
The famous Iso Rev.
And, I mean, that was the only way that you could turn it into a permanent, and now they just made it into a permanent in and of itself.
Yeah, it's cool. So let's read the card. Unstoppable Plan, 2 and a blue. It's an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, untap all non-land permanents you control. So Wilderness Reclamation was a green card for 3 and a green that untapped all your lands in your end step. And this is sort of the blue version that does... It's one cheaper,
and it does it for everything else.
It does it for all of your... So yeah, you want to play this with mana rocks. You can give all your creatures will have vigilance. That is for sure going in my Da Vinci deck because I'll just get a free untap at the end of the turn.
Oh yeah, this is... I think that this is going to be a powerhouse of a card, and for only being 3 mana, I think is honestly a little bit of an oversight. If they would have put it at 4, I think it would have been a little bit more fair. Yeah. But I mean, we've got some serious power creep going on, and it's for a blue deck, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't. Honestly, giving yourself vigilance pseudo vigilance for all of your creatures.
True. Yeah, like
you've got all your rocks come untapped.
It's nuts.
Yeah,
it's nuts. I feel like it's going to be very generically powerful, and it's going to be... It's not on the level of Rhystic Study, but like it's going to be... Yeah, it's just going to be a good include in a lot of decks. There's a lot of reasons why you would want to untap all of your non-land permanents at the end of your turn, so that you can use them and block with them and do all sorts of stuff.
No, it's just going to be... it's fully worth. And
speaking of full,
yeah, we got Full Throttle. Goodness gracious. This thing, so for 6 mana, which, I mean, is not hard to get to.
Yeah, 4 red.
You have 2 additional combats. 2!
Yep.
So...
It's essentially, like, you take an extra combat step was sort of like a 3 or 4 mana ability usually in red.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, even for... Shoot, I'm trying to think. There's the enchantment that...
Aggravated Assault?
Aggravated Assault, which is 5 mana.
Well, it's a 3 mana card, 5 mana activation.
Yeah.
But it's recurable, right? So it's got to be costed properly. I'm pretty sure there's... in my Itali deck, my original Itali deck... what I want to bring up is that this card is actually worded in a way that, unfortunately, like... My Itali loves to flip over extra combat spells and cast them so that I can keep going and keep digging.
Another one.
But yeah, right. But there is a card, I can't remember, it'll be on screen right now. It's one of the ones that's templated and worded like this, where it says after this main phase. Now, because it says after this main phase, if you don't cast it in a main phase, it doesn't do anything. So this being flipped by Itali don't do shit. Now, that's sad, but this is still heavily abusable because you just hard cast this one on your second main phase.
I mean, yeah.
Right? But the problem is I need to get more filtering in my Itali deck so that I can actually like be selecting what's on top. Shout out to Jersey Dave, who was in actually the episode that you edited from the face-to-face tour. He was playing an Itali deck and he had, is it Scroll Rack? Yeah. And I was just like, why don't I have Scroll Rack in the deck? That's insane.
No, absolutely.
Like being able to just be like, okay, all the cards in my hand go here or on the top of your deck.
On top,
yeah,
in
like,
any order.
Throw them on top in any order. Like, yeah, I still haven't gotten around to it. But you also, Jersey Dave gave us, he gave me a promo Mazavith, which I also didn't have a Mazavith in the deck. So yeah. And
shame. Here, let me see your hand for a second. Shame on you.
But yeah, Full Throttle, it's a 6-mana red sorcery that's going to give you 2 extra combat steps. Much like cards like Insurrection and Mob Rule, this is going to, if you're putting it on the stack, you're probably going to win.
Yeah, you're winning that turn.
Yeah, it's a hell of a card. And we knew you could anticipate that cards were going to get named Full Throttle, or there was Speed Demon, stuff like that were going to show up, and it was just interesting to see all right, what's this card going to look like?
Yeah. There's been some really cool ones. Another one that we have that I did not get a picture of, but Last Ride is a super cool one.
I'll get it up.
Yeah. It's 3 mana, and it's basically a Death Shadow on a vehicle.
Oh, it's the vehicle Death Shadow.
Yeah,
right.
and not only is it a Death Shadow, but it's also got an ability for 3 mana to lose 2 life and draw a card.
Yeah, so it
enables it to get to yourself down low life total so that you can.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it actually has it right on it, because Death Shadow didn't have anything that helped it out, but it was still a very strong Modern deck for a long time.
Absolutely.
It's a really interesting play pattern. I was pretty new to Magic when Death Shadow was at its peak in Modern. Mm-hmm. And watching people, basically try to beat themselves in the face as hard as they can in those first 2 or 3 turns.
Punch themselves so hard so that they can come out with a Death Shadow. That's the most intimidating thing. Yeah, you're living on the edge, right? You're trying to I want to get down to 5 life immediately. Dude, I'm going to be doing everything I can to just beat myself and then drop a big Death Shadow. And there are some mad lads out there that just do that, and I can't do it, man. No, I can't live that way. I living where a bolt can take me out. I can't do it.
I remember watching a tournament where somebody had the ability to trigger life gain, and they could target the opponent. And they targeted the opponent, which brought the Death Shadow's power down and made it die. And
that's so good. Yeah. Oh man.
He's like, don't get me.
How dare you heal me?
Exactly. So Last Ride, there's a ton of cool cards in the set. I know there's some people poo-pooing this. I think there's going to be some stuff that...
The last one that I want to talk about more than anything is because the Timmy in me just loves this card. It's Redshift Rocketeer Chief. It's Gruul, 1 red, 1 green, and Vigilance, and it has tap to add X mana of any one color, where X is its power. Spend that mana only to activate activated abilities.
Oh, okay.
You know what? That ability, not the worst, but its secondary ability just makes the Timmy and me the happiest person in the world. So it's 10 and 2. So 10 and Gruul for, which is... 12 mana is a lot, but put any number of permanents from your hand onto the battlefield. Just slap it down.
Okay, hold on. It's got a 12 mana activated ability. It's an exhaust ability, so it can only be done once.
It is an exhaust ability.
Put any number of permanent cards from your hand onto the battlefield. So that's like a...
Galta.
No, not Galta. Sorry. I guess there was a Galta that did that, right?
There's a Galta that puts all the creatures, but this is just permanents.
Permanents, yeah.
And so, I know that I have more than a few games, drawn my entire deck, and just to be able to be okay, I've drawn my entire deck, and now I'm gonna slap everything down.
Yep,
dude.
And you deserve it if you can do that.
If you can get there for the 12 mana, even with some cost reduction and everything like that, that's a lot to get to. But
wait, can it tap to pay its own ability? It can.
It can, because it's not tap and exhaust. It's just one exhaust.
You give it 4 counters, and it's a 6/6, and you only need 6 other lands on the battlefield.
Make it happen.
That's pretty cool,
right? This card I'm actually super excited about, and any of my Timmy players know that this is going to be so much fun.
Are you building this? Are you going to build that deck?
Honestly, legendary creature. Yeah, I might do that, and I'll find a way to bring them back so that we can do it again and again.
Yeah, I guess in green you got all those sack creatures with their power or whatever and draw a bunch of cards. You could fill your hand pretty good in Gruul. I don't know. Maybe not. Might be hard. I'd like to see a list.
Might be a little difficult, but no, I think we can make it happen. So
cool.
No, it's a fun one. Yeah.
Well, do you have anything else on the list?
The one thing. Ooh. So I do have one last one on the list that I think is almost a little bit of redemption for the max speed. And that is Samut, the Driving Force. He's 6 mana, He's Naya. Naya and 3. She. And First Strike, Vigilance, Haste. Very Samut. Right in that lane there. It's got Start Your Engines, which, I mean, if that's its thing. Other creatures you control get XO, where X is your speed. So it gets a little
Oh, so it does
more.
increment at least.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't have to just wait for the max speed.
It doesn't have to wait for the max speed. It actually brings it up. And then also on top of that, non-creature spells you cast are X less, where X is your speed. So you've also got cost reduction on top of that as well. And I think this is going to be...
It's like the savior of the mechanic.
The savior of the mechanic there for the max speed. And it's going to be its only saving grace, as far as I can see.
Damn. That seems cool. I wouldn't mind seeing that pop off.
Yeah.
Brady ended up sending me this card. This is for sure. I feel like I'm getting a lot of cards to go into Da Vinci in this set. But we've got Stride Hanger Automaton, I guess. 3 mana, artifact creature construct. It's a 1/4. Thopters you control get +1/+1. Da Vinci loves that. I've stacked that deck with as many anthems as I can get because the Thopters are O2s.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, if one or more artifact tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus an additional 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying are created instead. So whenever I use his ability to create a Thopter, I get another Thopter. And it buffs the Thopters.
Not bad.
So, yeah, I'm super excited about Stride Hanger Automaton.
Yeah, that's going to be sweet.
I will be playing that card.
100%. Actually, there are a couple things that I'm probably going to end up throwing into Salamanders here, into Gore Moldrak. One of which, Waxen Shapeshifter, because it does have a ton of shapeshifters in there. It's got Flash. It comes in as a copy, and it also has Cycling. So it's just super useful, super beneficial all around. It's just, if you have copy spells, there are so many shapeshifters that this just kneecaps and is just better.
Except for it happens to only copy what you control, right? Like Phyrexian Metamorph and stuff like that can copy anything on the battlefield, which make it much more powerful.
Yeah.
But
I mean, but there are so many that just copy a creature, and this one also copies an artifact. It also has the cycling.
Yeah, I'm going to get totally ranched by that card when you play it. I know I am.
That, and because we need to exchange permanents, and that's one of the most important things there, we've got Trade of the Helm. And Trade the Helm, sorry. And so it's 5 mana to exchange control of an artifact or creature you control with another target, with another artifact or creature an opponent controls. And so...
Little switcheroo.
Get another switcheroo card in there because I can't get enough. It definitely needs more. And then it's also got cycling. Just the fact of just slapping cycling on there makes the card just that much better.
The switcheroo thing, it's funny. It seems like the type of thing that you would be doing if you were just being an asshole and trying to screw up the game, is just picking someone else's cards up, just like trading in places. But like the switcheroo mechanic is just like, no, you get this, like just start
the switching thing. Honestly, and the main thing is so that I can give you Maskwood Nexus. I want to make sure that you have a Maskwood Nexus so that you have salamanders. And salamanders. And so that's definitely going to be throwing that into the salamanders gear to make sure that everybody's got some shallies.
Everybody's got some salamanders. All right. Well, I think we actually burned up a significant amount of time talking about Aetherdrift cards. I'm glad we talked about the commander stuff, the Avishkar name change.
Yeah. Happy that they did that for sure.
Yeah, totally. Good on you. Wizards is starting off the year great.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is this whole threat of tariffs. Like, man, the U.S. is trying to bully Canada, this and that. I was like, Matt, like, are my Magic cards going to cost 25% more now? What?
No, my Magic card.
I tell you what, it's a great year to print proxies. But on that note, we're not going to get political. I thank you guys, to everybody that watches into our podcast this deep. You are the real fans, and we really appreciate you.
You're the real MVP.
Yeah, you're the real MVPs. Mm-hmm. We do this for you, and thank you for enjoying listening to us talk and rant about the game we love.
Yeah, and I appreciate you being here. We love having you here, and we want to see more of you. So because we want to see more of you, you got to hit that like, hit that subscribe.
Yeah, ring the bell.
Ring the bell.
Ringing the bell.
And we want to see you more, and we want to have you here. join on the journey and come and be with us.
Yeah, and every single one of our videos, in the comments section, there is a link to our link tree, which has all of our socials, all of our everything. It's if you want to do the buy us a coffee thing to support, if you want to go to our merch site and buy a sweater or a hoodie, that's all in the link tree. Everything that we have is in the link tree.
Yeah. Please be there. Yeah, and the support is wonderful, and every little bit helps, and we love you guys. So come join us on the journey.
Thank you so much, as always, for listening to the Rogues Passage podcast. I have been your host, Tanner Cherry.
And I was the wonderful wizard, and still the wonderful Wizard of Oz. And thank you for being here. All right.
See you on the next one.
Bye.